You've crash landed on an alien world. With different perspectives, skills, and experiences, can you cooperate with your crewmates to explore the land and complete your mission in Vantage? Thank you for joining us at Tantrum House Studio D. I'm Melissa Delp.
And I'm Kevin Delp. Vantage is an open-world, mission-driven board game for 1 to 6 players that takes about 2 to 3 hours to play. It's designed by Jamie Stonemaier and published by Stonemaier Games. They sent us this copy to review, and it will be available to order on the Stonemaier Games website soon.
So the first part of this video will be spoiler-free, and we'll warn you once we move on to the spoilery section.
All right. The game comes with tons of cards, some dice, wooden pieces, and more.
Here's a super quick overview of the game. Players are working together to complete the main mission, which is randomly generated during setup. On your turn, you'll take one action, either a card action, a location action, or a depart action. Often you'll need to roll a number of challenge dice, and after resolving them, another player will read from one of the storybooks to share the result of the chosen action. You'll keep taking turns until the group completes the main mission, and then you'll read a conclusion in your game.
Now let's talk about the game in a little bit more depth.
At the beginning of the game, your group crash lands onto a planet. Unfortunately, you'll all end up in different areas with your own unique vantage point. You'll each be exploring your part of the planet and can share information with the other players since you do have communication devices.
That's good.
You can never show the location cards that are in your specific holders, though.
On your turn, you are normally just going to take one action, unless the game tells you to continue and take another action. Usually, you'll be taking a location action, so let's describe that a little bit more in depth. The character and card actions work similarly to the location action. When you look at your location card, you'll see a number of words associated with colors in the bottom right-hand corner of the card.
You'll choose one of them, and then another player will read from that colored book. They'll find your entry based on the number written on your card. They'll tell you how many challenge dice to roll, and you can reduce this number by spending skill tokens that match the action type. Other players are also allowed to spend those skill tokens for you.
That's always nice of you. After rolling, you resolve the dice. You can place the dice on card slots that have matching attributes like the die face or action type. You can use other player slots if they have a lightning bolt symbol. If there are any dice you couldn't place, you activate them. Dice with a U-turn symbol go back into the dice pool. The lines are basically blanks and have no effect. They go to the penalty area. 3 sides match your wooden trackers on the board. You'll go down the matching track for each symbol and then place the dice in the penalty area.
So the dice don't determine your level of success. You'll always be successful with your action. It just may cost more depending on your role.
Players will continue to take actions until the mission is complete. You then have the opportunity to finish the game there or complete a destiny card and then end the game. Now, we've done it both ways. Completing the destiny is like the ultimate completion, but it will probably be a little bit longer a game in order to do that.
So we're going to divide the rest of this review video into 4 categories, our 4 C's. The components, critiques, commendations, and then our conclusion. So from here on out, we will be spoiling some things, mainly by showing visuals of the cards. So if you don't want to know any details, you might want to stop here. But we will be careful not to reveal anything too big. So I would encourage you to watch the rest of the video.
All right, well, let's start with the first C, the components. Now, there are 2 main types of dice. The challenge dice, they're fine, but I really like the skill dice. They're just a little bit bigger and feel really good when you're rolling them.
All right, so most of the components in this game are the cards. Do you have an idea of how many there are?
I think it's like 800, did he say?
Wow, lots of cards.
I think over 800 is what I read somewhere.
And I think the location cards are definitely my favorite type.
Mm-hmm.
They have detailed illustrations, which is really helpful because you're looking at the card and describing it to the other players, and the card is giving some hints about what might be available to interact with in that location. So I really liked the illustrations on those. They're also a little bit bigger, which is helpful.
Yeah, maybe they could even be bigger. I don't know. There are lots of other cards, and the one big difference on the other cards, they're more like maybe poker-sized cards. They have a lot of different variations in the illustration styles and even completions, like how complete they look. So you'll have cards that are more stick figure-like. Then you have ones that are maybe a little bit more drawn out, maybe some shaded areas. And then there's some that are like fully complete, like you would say, oh, that's a fully complete illustrated card that has like full art on it. And I really like those. I really didn't like the stick figure ones as much, personally. I know that's a critique. We haven't gotten our critiques, but we're talking about components.
Yeah, the first time I saw it, I was kind of like, is this prototype art, placeholder art? But I do think that there is a game design or thematic reason why some of those cards are just very much a light sketch, very rudimentary. It's because those are the ability cards, and they're something intangible. So they're in your grid of cards, but it's not an item that you're carrying with you. It's not a person or something physical.
For the stick drawings, but there were physical things like swords and knives and things like that. I was like, it was really just like a.
That was like the medium.
Medium. It was fine, but I was like, man, there were some, like there was a horn we found. I was like, that's amazing looking. I'm like, why can't the sword look like that? I know there were probably different artists and maybe the different styles, but I'm like, it just didn't match to me. It took me out of the game experience a little bit.
So thematic wise, I did appreciate with the abilities, the stick drawing ones. I believe the whole card is like a color, a background color.
I did like that, yeah.
And I believe that corresponds with the type of ability because the abilities have different colors. So it makes it very easy for that to stand out in your grid of cards.
Yeah, and I will also mention what Melissa mentioned. There's location card, like all the locations are all done very well. Some are just, because of what they're looking at, some are just even more amazing than others.
Yeah, we definitely in some of our games had people go, ooh, or like, whoa, or uh-oh, when they got their new cards to look at it.
All right, well, let's move on to our critiques.
Okay, so one potential critique is that the game length can vary to kind of short to long, and you don't know going into it, is this going to be 2 hours? Is it going to be 3 hours? Now, the rules do say you can stop whenever and say, yay, we completed what we were trying to do.
Or maybe you didn't even get to complete.
Right. Well, like you choose what you consider a success.
Sure, yeah.
Because there is a mission in the game, and you might stumble upon it very quickly and be able to complete it in a fairly short amount of time, or it could take you a long time to try to get whatever it is you need to complete that mission. We've kind of had that experience.
Yeah, we've had it both ways. There was one game where I think it was either turn 1 or turn 2. I found the sort of the gateway,
the trigger,
the trigger to do what needed to start the beginning of the mission in order to end the mission. Sometimes there was another game where we couldn't even find the beginning part of the mission in order to complete the mission. I don't really want to give too much spoiler away, but there's a lot of different types of missions, and I think this is the case. I think most of the time you will say, oh, we found what we need to do on a location card or something, then you need to accomplish it. Like that's like a multiple step process. You could be playing the game before you even, multiple rounds before you get to that first trigger point.
Right, and not every player might be actively involved in the mission.
Sure.
I don't think is too spoilery. There's like, complete a quest.
Sure.
Usually a specific player may have the opportunity to complete the quest, and the rest of us, we're running around enjoying ourselves and trying to help by, having cards that, people can put dice on and stuff. But, like, Kevin's really focused on the mission. But I'm like, I'm gonna go look at butterflies.
But it was kind of amazing one game. I was like, I think it was turn 1 or 2. I was like, I think I figured out what we need to do for this game. In turn 1.
But accomplishing it.
Yeah, but accomplishing was another matter, which we could talk about later. Along with the game length, the mission drivenness of it, that could make the game longer or shorter, is the player count will definitely make the game either longer or shorter depending on the number of players. So you could play this game 1 to 6 players. Up to 6 players, there's just a lot of turns going around before it gets back to your turn. We've not played it 6 player. I'm telling you right now, I'll probably never play this game 6 players.
Yeah, Kevin is fairly sensitive to downtime between turns. Yeah. So having to wait that long till his turn comes back is not enjoyable for him.
Yeah, I don't mind downtime as long as it gets back. I know it's like going to get back to me pretty quickly, but yeah, the turn order is a big thing in this.
Well, and like
not turn order, but the amount of
between turns.
Between turns.
And sometimes you may have a turn where all you're doing is moving to another location.
Sure.
Where you're not even going to be rolling, or you're hardly going to be doing anything. So other people are taking big turns, and you have a quick turn, and then people are taking turns, and it can take a while to get back to your
but everyone is doing
turn.
The same thing. They're exploring.
Mm-hmm.
So you're exploring. You want to explore your area. You get to listen to other people's what they're exploring. But what do you really want to do? You really want to explore what your exploration.
Now I will say that I sometimes was so involved in listening to other people's things and giving advice and thinking about the puzzle that it came back to me and I'm like, I haven't thought about what I want to do yet. Whereas Kevin, on the other hand, has had his turn mapped out.
Yeah, I know. It's like,
since his last one.
Sort of like how, correct.
Different play styles.
That's right. Another thing, critique about this game is going to be the putting the box away. Usually in games, you put things in the bags, put the cards together, put it in the box, put the board in, you're done within a couple minutes. This one, you just can't put the cards away. They're all numbered.
You're not throwing them in the box.
Right. We don't usually throw things in the box. But they're all numbered, so you have to put them specifically back in the spot where they belong. And if you're playing a lengthy 2 to 3 hour game, and it's 3 or 4 for us, 3 or 4 players. That's still a lot of cards. I just can't imagine 6 players and they all have you build a 3x3 grid and you usually have other cards that aren't part of that 3x3 grid. So that's 9 times 6. That's 54 cards.
Although I don't know if we've actually had someone complete their grid at this point.
But that could be 50. I think we've had a number of cards though that I'm like, it just takes a little bit more time. It's not the end of the world. I'm just saying it's just a little thing. It's a little thing that you need to be aware of. Setup time though, we'll get to later. Might be a combination. You have another thing?
Yes. Okay. So in this game, you have this location card that has 6 or 7 different actions that you can do on them. For most locations, the base rules are that you can only do one of those actions on that card during the game. It's not like I can stay on that card for multiple turns and do different actions. So you're picking one. And that could give a little bit of FOMO, fear of missing out. If I do the search action, I don't get to do this other action, and what if the other one was better? So
I actually think there was a time in our last game that we played, I should have scaled a tower or something like that. I should have done that action, looking back and thinking about what we need to accomplish, instead of doing the other thing that I was like, this might be good too. We might have actually done better in the game.
Yeah, I will say, having played it several times, I don't think that they are completely blind decisions.
No, I don't think so either.
The location art is giving you
The
clues.
Yeah.
Also, the categories of the actions, you start to kind of learn that, oh, this keyword is going to let me do this sort of thing, or this color is usually going to do this type of stuff. So, it's not like a, oh, well, I guess I'll just pick one. But
I think we figured that out within the first game. We're like, oh, the game is leading you to and is helping you. If you can, just think about it a little bit. Think about it logically. You're going to figure out most of the things that you're trying to accomplish.
But so it's a little bit of a critique of wanting to explore more on that card, but only being able to do one thing, I think, will help with the replayability. Because if I see that card again, it's not like I've already exhausted all of the stuff on it.
All right, last critique. We hinted at it already, is the playstyles. So Melissa and our playstyles are a little bit different in what we're trying to accomplish. I'm very mission-driven in a lot of life and a lot of board games. I'm very like, what's the objective? What are we trying to accomplish? Let's accomplish it together. And I love co-op games. And this game is billed as an open-world adventure game. But at the beginning of each game, it says, here's your mission. In order for you to complete your game, you must complete your mission. And my brain goes, okay, we have an objective. Let's complete it. And I will do everything, and almost to the detriment of everyone else. I'm like, well, what are we trying to accomplish? And I think Melissa, on the other hand...
Yeah, I'm more like, oh, there's a waterfall over there. Let's see what's behind the waterfall. Now, if I know that my path has intersected with the mission, I probably am going to be more focused on that. But if it's like, oh, I think Kevin's on that mission path, I'm going to go have fun and see what this does.
Well, I will even
collect some items.
I will even say there was a game where we were all still looking for the mission, and Melissa could have helped us with the mission, like finding the mission, and she's like, I'm over here doing something else. I'm like, but the mission!
So, I guess, I don't know if it's a critique, but more of a, hey, think about the play style of you and your group and whether it's going to mesh well, because it does have a little bit of the mission, a little bit of resource management with the dice, but then it also has the exploration and what's going to happen and following stories and that sort of thing, and can you get the balance that you want out of the game.
All right, well, let's move on to our commendations.
So I personally do like the open world feel of this game. I think it has succeeded in creating this interesting world for you to explore, and you can try different things, go different directions, interact with sentience and other people or things in the world, in the environment. So I think that it has done a very good job of what it set out to do with the open world experience.
Yeah, I agree with Melissa. I think that open world, we've played a number, and we'll mention some in our conclusion, but I think this is probably risen to the top on how it has put this open world into a board game. So, good. One of my combinations, and I mentioned it briefly, is the setup time is actually really, really good compared to the breakdown time. What is that called?
The put away.
The put away time. The setup time is actually pretty simple, since you're really exploring throughout the game. You're pulling more cards throughout the game. All you're really doing at the beginning is getting your location, getting a few starting stuff going, and you're ready to go within 2-3 minutes. I mean, you could really get started very quickly.
Right, because there's some basic setup, but then when everyone sits at the table, they're kind of doing the specific setup all together.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And the other big thing I like is that this is not a campaign game. I love campaign games, but I like that they're just sort of like one-shot scenarios, and the way that Jamie has built the game, each game out, you don't have to really have prior knowledge, although I think it's helpful to have prior knowledge. I don't think you need to have prior knowledge in order to do a, game that's 2 to 3 hours. So I appreciate that it's not campaign.
Right, yeah. You could play it with anyone, just open it up, go, and enjoy it.
And then the other thing I think that goes along with that is that way you don't have to worry about player count.
Right.
So you could be like, oh, we have 3 players, let's play it. Or if you really want to play that 6-player game, you're like, oh, let's play 6 players. Not everyone has to be at every game in the future.
Right, because some of our games, once you've started a campaign with a group, it's really hard to do another campaign, or you kind of have to finish it before you jump into the next one. One of the things I like, variability in games, and this one has asymmetry and variability. The characters are slightly different. They have different skill sets or what they're good at. There's an engineer and a pilot.
And they can be upgraded. We didn't know about that. It's a little spoiler here.
There are some specific cards that go with that specific character. So it's kind of a path you can travel or things that you can upgrade for that specific character. Also, all the different locations and the items. I was going to say it's going to feel different each time. I mean, I think the game is kind of similar, but the things that you have and what you're trying to do and what you're good at is going to be different each time.
And then what you're going to find. So, yes, it's going to feel similar, but then all of a sudden you found like a cave, or you went underwater, or you're like, I think that is appealing to us in board games, where it's like, oh, it's something new that you're finding and experiencing. That's fun. I also enjoy, and we mentioned this earlier briefly, is that you're successful in your actions. We've played a lot of cooperative games that have this maybe not say it's open world, but it has an adventure type game or an open world type game, and you've done this big thing, or you're trying to accomplish this big part of the game, and all of a sudden it's like, and you fail. And it's like, oh, I spent all that time, all that effort, or we've done it together, whether it's a competitive or a co-op game. It's like you've invested a lot, and then in these other games, when you fail, it just feels really, really bad. I like that in Vantage, you're going to succeed in every single turn that you do. The cost just might be greater than you were expecting. So
right, and it's not like in some games, oh, I rolled this amount, so I got the middle success, or I failed, or I got the big success. It's the same result. Like, this thing you read in the storybook is going to be the same no matter what you rolled.
Yeah. And
also, they're not even paragraphs. They're little statements that are maybe a few sentences long, so it's not like, I'm trying to listen for this whole story. So I think it does move along.
Yeah, you're not weighed down by the story, but it keeps it moving throughout the game, which I appreciate. It gives you a little bit of the story and it moves you on. So, because there are some story games, it's like, okay, we got the idea.
That was 3 pages. Okay.
Right.
One other thing that I like about how Vantage uses the dice is it feels puzzly to me. So you're rolling these challenge dice, and then you're trying to put them on cards. Because if you can put them on cards, then you don't have to activate them. Now, some of the dice, like, oh, blanks, great, nothing happened. But it really, for me, sometimes plays into the decisions of even what action I take.
Oh, yeah, you're like, I have better purple, so I'm purple abilities, so I'm gonna do the purple action.
Right.
If you feel like it's good.
Yeah, if I'm like 50-50, oh, the purple look action looks really interesting, or the orange engage action, ooh, no one has purple tokens. I don't have any slots for purple, but there are a lot of orange tokens on the board, and I do have slots for the orange. That's going to be the safer bet because we can mitigate it, whereas we can't do any mitigation with the purple. So I liked that kind of puzzly aspect and the cooperative nature of, like, talking through people's turns and what might be possible with those actions.
Well, let's move on to our conclusions. Well, we've reviewed a lot of Stonemaier games. We're a big fan of what Stonemaier produces. You can tell that Stonemaier puts a lot of thought and effort into making it a good game, a well-designed game, a beautiful game. I think he's done the same thing with Vantage. I think what he's put into it, you could tell a lot of thought and meaningful design choices were put into Vantage. I don't know the amount of years, but I think it's been a number of years that Jamie has put into this game. I mean, this game is heavy. We mentioned the number of cards, all that kind of stuff. Let's just take a brief moment and compare it. We've mentioned there are other open world games.
Adventure games.
Or adventure games. But compare just a little bit to those. We're not going to go really into depth because this is not really a comparison video, but I think it would be helpful in our conclusion just to mention those other ones. So you have something like Tales of Arthurian Knights.
Which is similar to Tales of
Arabian Nights. Yeah. So you have those two types of games that are open world, very story-based games. You can play, I think you can play both co-op or competitive. So that's interesting that in those games you can choose, do I want to play competitive or co-op? This one you can only choose co-op. But in those games, which I think we had mentioned, you can fail in the things and you're going... Failure will make you go down a path, which may not be helpful.
Yeah, definitely that one I enjoyed the cooperative more than the competitive, but it was very swingy of the outcomes for your adventure.
Wouldn't know. I mean, especially a lot of what you're trying to earn in like Tales of Arthurian Knights. Somebody like go on a path and wasn't like, well, how'd you get all that? I think it was infamy or something. It's like, well, how'd you get all that? And it's like, oh, I just happened to do this thing. It was very, I wouldn't say random, but it didn't feel like as thought out.
Right. Whereas in Vantage, you're always going to succeed. And I feel like you have at least an inkling or a good idea of the types of things that you're going to get for the different actions.
Western Legends is another open world adventure game. That's got a lot of expansions and a lot of stuff that goes into that. It's Western theme. You can play different sides, which is interesting. I would say it might be a little more thematic compared to Vantage. Vantage feels a little bit more nebulous.
Well, and it's an alien world. Yeah. So you're still trying to figure out what's going on and the landscapes are very different. It's a very diverse world.
Sure. I wouldn't say it's a detractor. I'm just saying Western Legend maybe really plays into that, Western.
And there's more, I think, board game mechanics in it.
Right.
Like you have different types of actions.
So, and I would say for Western Legends, yes, you can do whatever you want, but you're like, how am I going to get gold? I know what to do in those games. I want to play poker. I want to go rob a bank, or I want to go rattle some cattle. So open world, but with rails. It's kind of interesting for that one.
Yeah. What do you think about like something like Seventh Continent?
Ooh, Seventh Continent. We haven't played a lot of Seventh Continent. I would say
it was a little big for us.
It was a little much.
A little punishing.
Yeah, much, and a lot of Seventh Continent. There's, I think, another one that they...
Seventh Citadel?
Seventh Citadel. I don't think we ever played that one. So I would say this one's a lot more streamlined, a lot easier to get into. So Seventh Continent was too much of a beast for us.
Sleeping Gods.
Oh, Sleeping Gods. So I like the story in Sleeping Gods, and the Distant Skies, a standalone game in the Sleeping Gods universe. I really like the story.
And the art is beautiful.
And the art from Red Raven Games, both of those are very interesting, story-based. I would play those games for the story, not for the game. Compared to Vantage. I think Vantage...
I remember you didn't really like the combat and the upkeep. There was a lot of bookkeeping.
There's too much bookkeeping. And
Sleeping Gods.
And Vantage... very, like I said, streamlined. The bookkeeping is very easy. You know exactly what you're trying to do. You do the actions. So, you have things like more adventure games, like Lord of the Rings, Journeys to Middle-earth. Those you definitely thematic, and you sort of know what you're trying to accomplish and how to accomplish it. It's app-based, so maybe a little bit more.
Yeah, that one's even more mission.
Very mission-driven. I like that. I probably like that better than Vantage personally.
And it has a lot more going on with the successes and the cards that you're building your deck
Different
with.
game, but has that adventure feel. Time stories. I know people have talked about time stories. You probably know that Melissa and I have created a scenario with time stories. Love the time stories. That's definitely, to me, much more puzzly and mystery, and it's got that sort of feeling to it.
Yeah, and it has a little bit more of a linear storyline. Like, eventually you need to do things in the right order.
And once you played it, you're done. Whereas
Right.
Vantage, sure, you could probably go on the same mission. You could get, I think you can get the same mission from, because I think there are like 21 mission cards. You can get the same mission card and have a totally different experience.
Right, because you're in a different part of the planet. And so it's not like, oh, I can't get to this specific thing, but there are other ways to accomplish that mission.
Yeah.
I found Vantage easy to understand, reading the rule book, watching a video. I thought it was easy to teach. Basically, when we played it with other people, either Kevin and I or I took the first turn, and then people are like, oh, okay, yep, I understand what's going on.
Yeah. So I think we mentioned this earlier, but 2 to 4 players is probably the sweet spot for us. 2 to 3 is actually probably even a little sweeter for this game, just because of what you're trying to accomplish.
Downtime for Kevin.
Downtime. And going along with the idea of downtime, I think in order for me to play Vantage, I want to make sure that I have enough time set aside in an afternoon or an evening or whatever we're going to play it, and not feel like, oh, we have to have it done by a certain time.
Yeah. Oh, we have to pack up in 30 minutes whether or not we have...
I don't want to feel rushed in this game.
Right, because we might want to do that Destiny mission, or
it felt good when
there might be personal goals and missions that you can accomplish.
Sure.
So you can make it more full and robust if you want.
So, Melissa, what types of people do you think would enjoy Vantage?
I think...
For people that love board games.
So, people who love board games, I think if you do like exploration and trying to figure out, ooh, what does this do? What happens if I talk to this person? Or if I steal this book? And wanting to kind of figure things out. I do think there is a little bit of a puzzly aspect I kind of mentioned with the dice and trying to...
And the resources and all that.
Yeah, make use of them in a way that minimizes your damage.
I think it leans more to that open world type of person that just likes to explore compared to the mission. I think people who are very mission driven like me could get frustrated sometimes because they're not accomplished. It feels like you're spinning wheels sometimes.
Like, oh, I know what I need to do.
Just can't do it.
But where do I go or how do I accomplish it? Yeah, I could see that if you're like really a min-maxer and you're very competitive, it might be a little too slow pace and
but you didn't
open-ended.
But if you're like me and you're aware of going into it, oh, we're just going to enjoy this experience, and if we complete the mission or not complete the mission, that's okay. As long as everyone's okay with it.
Yeah. So I enjoyed my plays of Vantage. We've played it several times at several different player counts, and I am interested in exploring more and seeing what happens the next time I try to, duel someone or flirt.
Well, if this sounds interesting to you, please check out Vantage at Stonemaier Games website, and we would love for you to comment on this video below of some of your favorite open world or adventure type board games. Which ones have you really enjoyed? We'd love to hear from you. Please like and subscribe, and as always, check out more videos coming soon from Tantrum House.
You've crash landed on an alien world. With different perspectives, skills, and experiences, can you cooperate with your crewmates to explore the land and complete your mission? Yeah, there you keep going.